The myth is peanuts are the most severe allergen. The truth, the fact is any food can be extremely severe for any person.
My blood test said I was like not allergic at all. My skin test was, oh my gosh. It was like, okay, well, which one's true? Educate on this sort of stuff because it's just crazy, the misconceptions.
Yep. Welcome back to EpiPod. Danielle's had anaphylactic food allergies her entire life.
And Sarah is a food allergy mom to 2 kiddos.
Managing this invisible health condition can feel so isolating.
Do you also feel like you have a degree in overthinking?
If you're nodding your head like me, then you're in good company.
Let's get you off that allergy island right now with people who get it.
Ready to dive in?
Hi, Sarah.
Hey, Danielle.
Today, we are talking about common myths.
Yes, and what is myth and what is fact? Because
myths and busting.
Yes, we are the Mythbusters. Wasn't that a show?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. We're dancing, we're singing. If you're not watching, you should have just seen Danielle. She was really cute. No, for real though. This episode, I think it's important for. I mean, sometimes you can live a long time in an allergy life and still not know certain things. Like we have talked on the podcast about how certain things you lived most of your life not understanding that like you can't put your EpiPen in your cowboy boot at a music festival. Like,
when the music festival, especially is in Palm Springs and the starting temperature is 106.
Oh my gosh. But like, I mean, yes, some people might not know, but other people also might want to send this to somebody who maybe isn't as familiar with allergies, somebody who watches your kid to be like, hey, here's the truth. I know that TV shows and movies can show certain realities, or in quotation marks, realities about living with food allergies, but it's not usually all that accurate.
Also, like for 90s babies like me, the allergy world has drastically changed.
True. You can't stay up on anything anymore.
Yeah. Even from the time you had kids to now, when we did the lactation episode, like so much has changed from even when Ethan was a baby.
Totally. Yeah. It is wild how fast it's changing. And I think in some ways it's a good thing, right? Because it shows that we're researching it more. People are paying more attention to food allergy suffering in general. So when you look more into it and put more research dollars, like you're gonna learn and find new things for the better. But yeah, it's really hard to stay on top of like what is truth.
So myth number 1.
Okay, hit me.
Now it's time to hear from one of our sponsors, Larissa's Kitchen.
Get 20% off the only certified top 9 allergen-free meat snack at larissaskitchen.com. That's LORISSAS kitchen.com. Use promo code EpiPod.
Not only are they certified top 9 allergen-free by Menu Trinfo, they use 100% grass-fed and finished beef or free-range poultry, and they're 0 sugar.
Larissa is an allergy mom that knows the struggles firsthand and founded Larissa's Kitchen to enable everyone to snack fearlessly.
Use promo code EpiPod to get 20% off your first order at larissaskitchen.com. LORISSAS kitchen.com. Peanut allergy is the most severe allergy.
Yeah, that's a no. That is a myth.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, it gets the most attention. That's 100% true. People automatically, I cannot tell you, Danielle, how many times we have said something about Graham's dairy allergy and they're like brushing it off as if it's lactose intolerance. And I'm like, no, he's had severe reactions both on contact and just by breathing in milk particles, not even ingesting them like in his mouth. I mean, more so really than even peanut reactions that we've had. And allegedly, you know, numbers wise, which we can talk about those myths later too, but like it's impossible really honestly to know which one is your most severe unless you've had a history of like frequent reactions to multiple foods. But yeah, I mean, people just don't take it seriously. I think they don't even believe that it's a thing that can happen.
I mean, I always say I have peanut allergy privilege. Like having a peanut allergy, people respect it. You say that to a waiter, you say that to an airline stewardess, or even when you fly and there's a part for like wheelchair? Do you have like a hearing disability? Do you have a peanut dust allergy?
Yep.
What? But it's also like, yes, I have peanut allergy privilege because you say nut allergy to a waiter and they're like, ding, ding. I know what that means. Like,
Right.
even though it's inaccurately depicted in movies and it's always the butt of jokes in commercials and things, like, you do know, like, this is dangerous.
Right.
Peanut equals dangerous. However, I come across, even though it's like peanut allergy privilege, I come across the issue where waitresses, or even like when I'm at somebody's house, they're like, oh, but don't worry, no peanuts. And I'm like, okay, well, cashews are as dangerous for me. So all nuts, like, people even think that tree nuts aren't the same or like isn't as big of a deal as peanut. Well, at least it's not peanut. I'm
Right.
like, okay.
And I mean, who knows, right? There might be some, not fact to it, but like back in the day, you know, old people love to be like, back in my day, allergies weren't even real. Do you like my old person accent? I don't know why I go there with the old person accent, but
It's always a Southern person. How we say that as Texans.
Yes, exactly. And I grew up in Louisiana. Don't hate on us. But I think there is some truth to the fact that when we were younger, even like you and I, and certainly when our parents were younger, they didn't know many people with allergies. And also the people they knew generally had a peanut allergy. So I think, like, I'm not a scientist and I don't know all the research like the back of my hand or anything, but I do think the prevalence of allergies in general has gone up. And well, I know that to be true, but also like allergies outside of the top, what was once top 8, now top 9. I mean, that's even an indicator right there, right? Like, they've added another top allergen. So obviously at some point it has gotten to be more of a problem, you know, like with these other allergens.
Well, yeah, just, I think the shortest way that I explain it to people is using the example of like Natasha's foundation. Like, she was somebody who unfortunately passed from anaphylaxis because of a sesame allergy.
Yeah.
So I can imagine like anybody who has something, not that sesame is obscure, but something like sesame, or Sally in a recent episode talking about soy, like, it's whether it's soy, gluten, sesame, those for certain individuals based on their individual body, immune system, blood test, etc. Like, that can be, they can have not a peanut problem whatsoever. Peanut butter can be their safe food.
Totally.
And they can be as anaphylactic to sesame as I am to all of the nuts.
Yes, absolutely. So, okay, the myth is peanuts are the most severe allergen. The truth, the fact is, any food can be extremely severe for any person.
We have Gatsby here in the studio today. He also wants to chime in.
Hi, Gatsby. What do you think about it?
He doesn't like that people are having myths.
Yes.
Okay, next myth.
Okay, next myth. Eating a little bit of your allergen won't hurt you.
Just try a little bit.
Just try a little, and maybe if you give them a little bit each day, they just won't be allergic anymore.
Or my favorite is when a family member is like, why don't you just put a little bit on your tongue just to see if you're allergic?
Right. Or smear it on your arm or something like that.
I'll do the smear test on my arm. not like for fun. I'm not putting like peanut butter on my arm, but that's how I do makeup.
Yeah.
Like new makeup, I will swatch my entire inside of my forearm to see if there's any sort of like Latin term for a nut.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, and the fact, this one can be easy breezy short, but I mean, the fact of the matter is that, I mean, any trace amount of your allergen could cause a severe reaction.
A major medical emergency, multiple EpiPens, call 911.
Right. Like, I mean, we have had that happen, right? I mean, like, again, Graham had the issue with breathing in milk powder and had a severe reaction. Yeah. So, I mean, it doesn't even have to be something you ingest. I mean, you had, right, when you had a severe reaction, it was to some sort of sauce or something, right? So, I mean.
And it was like the tiniest bit.
Yeah.
I didn't like, it wasn't like a spaghetti sauce amount of serving where it's like half sauce, half noodle.
Right.
It was like the teeniest bit of sauce that I had.
Yeah. I mean, it is that dangerous. Like you almost think of it like, I don't know. Do you remember like anthrax, whenever that was like a big deal and everybody was like
that's
afraid
a blast from the past.
Yeah, I know. Remember when everyone was like afraid to open their mail, and because you're like, oh, trace amounts of this like white powder could get on me and I could die. It's like, honestly, that is kind of how a lot of families need to treat food allergies. Maybe not every family. There are different levels of like sensitivity, or some people don't react to may contains or cross contact of an allergen, but some people do. So it's not something that you can risk as like if you're a caretaker or you're a restaurant or whatever. Like those are risks that a lot of people cannot take.
Something like the nuance and like the asterisk for this is speaking directly, obviously, to your provider.
100%.
Like, my doctor one of my biggest fears is like it being airborne and being in a place like an airplane or something where I can't get help. And the amount of times he has like looked me in the eyes and all but like shaken me by the shoulders and been like, I, as your provider, I am not worried about you going into anaphylaxis from somebody eating peanut M&Ms next to you. Okay. Like you could even be at a sporting event. I'm not worried about that for you. I'm not saying you won't have a mild situation. You may like clear your throat or
like sneeze.
Yes. But Danielle, really, like you don't have to make your world so small that it can't be in your airspace whatsoever, ever.
Right.
Like when I'm at the grocery store, I specifically now to like challenge myself to normalize it. I swear the pandemic, like making your world so much smaller, or like walking around even the grocery store with a mask on. Yeah. I had to get in the habit of being like, no, I'm going to take the route where I walk in front of the like, bulk nuts thing.
Yeah.
And it's to this day, it makes a spider go up my spine and I'm like, ugh. But I make myself do it because I'm like, this is not.
It's not going to hurt you.
It's not going to be a medical emergency.
Yeah.
And so that's how I'm like slowly. So yeah. As with all of these and always, like we are not doctors, we are not medical professionals, but yeah, like the myth, the nuance is where I'm like, the anxiety girl in me is like, but don't go overboard.
Yeah.
Like talk to your doctor every single time you feel yourself being like, whoop, overboard.
Totally.
That's what I have to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, if it's somebody that you trust, it's like, you yourself listening, like you are not a medical professional either. You can do as much research as you'd like, but if you find a doctor that you trust and they tell you something, I mean, that should be what you stick to.
A doctor you trust is so it though, because as we've said in the past, like doctors are at all different parts of the like what is newest in research. Like we still have some doctors being like, OIT is not possible if you have over this number. And
then I hear that all the time.
Yes. And then you have other allergists being like, there is no amount of severity that we cannot help you with.
Yes.
Or we cannot at least try.
Gray. Always gray.
Gray.
We need a song. Our theme song needs to be something about living in the gray. Who is a composer? Who can help us with this? Okay. And kind of along these same lines, I always think about Oakley, red sneakers for Oakley, when we're talking about this next myth about a reaction that has only caused mild symptoms in the past must be a mild allergy. Mild allergy in and of itself is a myth.
Yeah. I'm only a little bit allergic. What does that mean?
That's not a thing.
No.
You are either allergic or you are not. Speaking of Oakley, I mean, everybody can go to that website or to their Instagram and read his story. So I won't go into it, especially for someone who doesn't want to be like, this is a trigger warning, triggered by a story of anaphylaxis death. But, he was a little boy who died after eating, I think, a piece of cake, like a bite of cake, maybe. And he always assumed, like, his parents didn't even have an EpiPen for him because his own doctor told him that's a mild allergy. Like, your asthma is far more dangerous. We need to make sure you have an inhaler, but did not provide an EpiPen because, you're a tree nut allergy. It's actually just pretty mild. Like, you could take a Benadryl. And so that was obviously proven in the hardest, most devastating way to be a myth, that if you have an allergy, you need to treat it as if it's life-threatening, even if you have not had severe reactions in the past, because every reaction is different.
I can't even tell you how many times as an adult who takes their allergy with the utmost amount of caution, respect, seriousness, how many allergy adults, also 90s babies who have not had the situation that I did, where it's like, oh my gosh, like I found myself rushing to the hospital and learning I needed to carry an EpiPen and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But they're like, oh, I also have a nut allergy, but it's a pretty mild allergy. You know, I'm just a little allergic. And I'm like, really, what happens? Oh, I'm vomiting for like the whole night. I'm like, you're vomiting multiple times and you have hives? Like, that's an EpiPen.
Right.
So it's just crazy. Like, also talk about gray. When people like mild, it's little is such a subjective.
Relative, yeah.
You're like, what is mild to you? Oh, well, I just vomit. I don't get, breathing problems. It's like,
and we've talked about the allergy bucket before, this idea that like at some point you can have a perfect storm, kind of like a bucket runneth over type of moment. So like maybe that person, when they've had even if it's not what you described is not mild in my opinion, but like say somebody actually has a mild reaction, like hives around their mouth or one pop up on their arm, or maybe they, I don't know, have like some sneezing and respiratory things. Like, okay, maybe you had that one day, and then the next day or next week you eat the same amount of food and you have a reaction, but this time you're allergic to dogs and you've pet a dog before, like a couple hours before, and it got into your body. Maybe the next day you're going to wake up with a cold, so your immune system is already threatened. Like, all of these other factors could be at play, and you have that exact same amount of your allergen, and all of a sudden your reaction could be so much more severe, could be anaphylactic, could need an EpiPen. Like, you just don't know. This has happened a lot. Like, people who have passed from allergic reactions, it is oftentimes because of this myth, because they don't believe that it could potentially be worse the next time.
I also think it's like when you talk about perfect storm, like there are things you can't plan for, like about to be sick and your immune system's run down. But there was a story, it was making its way around TikTok, and she's a widow because her husband had I believe it was a bee allergy, and he had just come from from a CrossFit class, I believe. So his
body, like, temperature was elevated, his heart rate was up.
Super high body temperature and super elevated heart rate that isn't going to come down. I mean, when you go to a super hard workout class, it takes till the afternoon where you're like, I finally feel like I'm not like still on the treadmill.
Yeah.
This is why I don't work out. Just kidding. I just don't like to sweat. But yeah, like some things you can't plan for.
Right.
That reminds me of the next myth, and it's one that I still have to remind my family. The myth of a Benadryl or a Zyrtec can turn an allergic reaction around.
No. Yeah, that's a myth.
Yeah. Benadryl and Zyrtec are not, they're going to do zero things to stop an anaphylactic reaction.
Right.
What they do is make you a little bit more comfortable.
Right.
So that your body can, like if it's say I'm at a baseball game and like I'm clearing my throat a lot, I take a Zyrtec, that's helping my body get a little bit more comfortable so that my immune system can kick in and handle it.
Right.
But if I have, God forbid, had an accidental ingestion, a Benadryl there's no like comfortable, like that's an EpiPen.
Yeah. It doesn't reverse an anaphylactic reaction. That's like your body is full, like multi-system reaction mode. Like it can't, I don't, again, not a doctor, but like the medicine that is a Benadryl or a Zyrtec, like it cannot fix, people can go into cardiac arrest when they're having an anaphylactic reaction. Like Benadryl doesn't stop that. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
I mean, we're like, giggling, but it's not funny, but like it is
funny because it's ridiculous.
It is when you lay it out like that.
Yes.
But I agree that it is confusing that sometimes even your own doctor will say, well, let's take Zyrtec, right?
Of course.
And again, I think that's the kind of weird kind of nuance that people don't understand is that like, while it won't reverse a reaction, and some people actually say like a Benadryl or a Zyrtec can mask an severe reaction because it like gives it time. Like people think, oh, well, it's calmed down. My lips swelling has calmed down. But really inside, like your body could still be raging. And then it like comes on really fast and you have this more severe reaction where you need the EpiPen. Again, this is not truth. Don't take go to your doctor and ask them these questions. But I've heard that being talked about, in the allergy space as being an issue as well. So it's like, lean on your doctor, always reach out to them in case of any allergic reaction, but just know that like you cannot be having a multi-system reaction and reverse it by taking antihistamines.
Right. It's as silly as like somebody is having a heart attack and you're like, oh, just take a baby aspirin.
Correct.
It's like, we're past that point of no return. Like that's putting a Band-Aid on like a bullet hole. Like what?
100%.
That's why it's not that it's funny. It's silly to think that something like that can fix that level. It's like,
yes,
trying to stop a train with like a school, like a kindergarten crossing guard. It's like totally different scenario. Like we're not in the school zone. We're on the train tracks of the Autobahn. Okay.
Yeah. So that now is making me think of another myth. Are you ready to switch?
Let's do it.
Okay. I was like, wait, I don't want to be cutting Danielle off.
No, not at all.
Okay. So this one also hits home for me a little bit. The myth that if you're going to have a severe reaction, it's going to happen within minutes of eating the food or accidental ingestion.
This one is what really trips me up.
Yeah. I mean, like mental health wise, like, yeah.
My dog also doesn't like this myth.
No, he doesn't like it at all, right? Gatsby, it's a no-no. So this one hits close to home for me because, when Graham had his latest really bad reaction, it did not happen right after. I mean, we think that it had a lot to do with his dose. We obviously still don't know like all of the contributing factors to him having that reaction. But I mean, it was, almost an hour probably after he had his dose, like after he'd eaten his 18 peanuts for treatment. It was probably about an hour after that.
Yeah. Which is crazy.
Yeah.
And like that for mental health wise for me, like really messes with me.
Yeah.
Like if I'm trying to get back in the swing of things to eat at a restaurant, like, am I still watching the clock an hour or two later? It's like, that's where it comes down to, again, talking to your doctor and knowing your specific reaction. Maybe with like treatment, it changes. Your immune system is changing. You're literally like rewriting your tolerance and your immune system. So like maybe the game has changed. But for me, I mean, who knows now after I've like tried OIT for a year, it probably has all gone back. But I know my baseline, like a teeny tiny bit of nut, like I'm going to know within less than a minute, like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
But I have friends who are totally different.
Yeah.
And their body has always reacted that way. Or I think about like things that can change the immune system, like getting really sick or post-pregnancy, like your everything is different.
Yeah.
It's like hitting factory reset. So it's just so messy.
It
like
is.
that gray really messes with me.
Which, I mean, so, in OIT, we wait in the office about 45 minutes after an updose. But then they say, when we're doing it at home to monitor closely for an hour, but then for like 2 hours, keep an eye, So, I mean, their window is 2 hours, even like these medical professionals who are having us eat the allergen, right? So I would assume that everybody should be careful for a period of time after eating something that maybe they don't know, like they aren't sure about. You should at least be mindful that it's possible, is I guess what I'm saying. Not to live in fear about it, but be mindful. And then, I think with TIP, it's an hour of monitoring and like not raising your heart rate and all of that. But I mean, technically, according to research, an allergic reaction can happen hours after ingesting an allergen. So it is not just 10 minutes in, you're good.
It was really interesting with OIT, and I think that's one of the reasons why it didn't work with me, is I felt like it ate into so much of my day, because I was watching I couldn't let it go after the hour that they say, like, okay, like it's most likely to happen then. I had to wait till the 2 hours. And then if I had a little mild reaction, like a little hive on my lip or like itchy throat or like anything, then they'd be like, okay, like maybe don't drink tonight, like don't go to happy hour or whatever you had planned. So like there go my social plans, and it's really hot in Austin. So it's like, okay, well I can't go like hike the trail with my friends like I was going to. That's out. And it was just like, but I would hyperfixate, and I would have to write in and be like, okay, give me like actual scientific research. Like, am I in the clear after 4 hours? Am I in the clear after 8 hours? Like, what's the situation? And sometimes it was a PA or my actual allergist would be like, at this point, like whatever we were at, like 6 hours, 4 hours, whatever, like at this point, it would be a very big anomaly for you to be having an issue after a mild reaction. But it was so hard for me to wrap my head around. Yeah, it's gray. Yeah. And it's something that, like, if that's something that's gray for you, so worth booking an appointment and talking it through with your doctor.
And I mean, I do think you're right though, that like the risk after, they wouldn't have that 1 hour and 2 hour markers if that wasn't what statistically is true. Right. Yeah. So like there is some truth in that. I think the majority of people react very quickly within minutes, but the myth that it couldn't happen is true. You know, like that is the myth. Like it definitely can happen.
Right.
With, you know, hours later after ingesting an allergen.
Yeah. Yeah. That reminds me of our next myth, which is like the Benadryl versus Zyrtec debate.
Oh, well, I don't even know if that's like a myth as much as it's just like murky muddiness between allergists themselves. Totally.
I think like for me, the myth would be like, if you have a severe allergy, you're carrying EpiPens and Benadryl. That was what it was for my whole life.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I switched to my current allergist, who I like night and day compared to my last, where I was like, oh, Benadryl actually is not what I should be carrying anymore.
Yeah.
Because of its like shelf life, if you will, inside the body is a lot shorter than that of Zyrtec.
Yeah.
Zyrtec is going to last you 24 hours.
And there's also more side effects, I guess, with Benadryl. And some people point to that as the reason why we should be doing Zyrtec. I think the reason a lot of people say Benadryl or did is because they believed that it was faster acting, from what I've read, that it was faster acting than a Zyrtec. But now I think research shows that it's really pretty close. And again, the fewer side effects with a Zyrtec and the longer shelf life inside the body make Zyrtec the better choice. But not everybody's on board with that.
Totally. Not everybody's on board with that. It was so interesting. I was actually it was the food challenge that I failed. It was the one where we realized like, oh, my skin tells the truth. My blood test doesn't necessarily tell the truth. When I failed pistachio. Yeah. Because my blood test said I was like not allergic at all. My skin test was, oh my gosh, you have as big a welt as you do with peanut. And it was like, okay, well, which one's true? Because my sesame blood test off the charts. It was the second highest level. It was like peanut, then sesame, but no skin reaction. And my favorite crackers are like more sesame seed than any other ingredient. Like it's like you're eating a giant sesame seed and they're like maybe some like batter and like other seeds in there. It's like, what else what is holding them together? I'm not sure. Yeah. So I was like, well, which is true? And he was like, well, based on that, we probably know you're okay with sesame, but let's do it with tahini since it's ground up. Yeah. Like maybe I'm not like,
that's the one you couldn't stomach. Yeah.
I mean, it was disgusting to me, like the taste, but I was fine. Like my stomach hurt the next day, but who knows? Like I passed sesame. Yeah. And I eat it all the time. Right. But pistachio was the food challenge where we were like, is your skin or is your blood telling the truth? Because everybody's kind of different. We need to do a whole episode.
I was about to say, I think this is definitely a myth, but it's also an entire episode because I mean, just that unknown and mythy, that's not a word, but like there are so many people that think my number for X, whatever it is so high, I'm so allergic. And while that is kind of true in like a way. It's not the way people think. So like, again, not a doctor, not a scientist, but like just because you have a high number, it doesn't mean that your reaction is going to be super severe. From my knowledge and understanding, what it does tell you is the more likely you are to have a reaction in the first place. So like if you have a super high number for milk, you're more likely to react if you drink milk, but it doesn't necessarily dictate if you're going to have a mild or a severe reaction.
It's so interesting because I had not heard that before. It was like explained to me as like, this just gives us a really good guess as to whether it's okay to food challenge.
Yeah.
Like this gives me a really good shot of deciding whether this is a good idea. And I don't want to do anything that I don't think you have a really good shot of passing.
Well, I think that is what we're saying, right? Like, because they're saying if it's a higher number, you're more likely to react. So they don't want to do the food challenge. But if you have a lower number, they're like, well, actually, maybe you won't react to this food and maybe you'll be okay. Like maybe you won't have an actual allergy to it when we test.
I'm just so thankful that like, well, this is like a silver lining because I wish I had received any sort of allergy care from the pediatrician when I was a kid. But like if they had tested me, if they had tested my blood, if I was not a 90s baby, if I was born in the year of 2020, I would have been tested. It would have shown crazy high numbers for peanut and sesame, and then pretty high numbers for tree nuts. Some tree nuts I cannot eat. Huge skin reaction for the prick test. Nothing on blood. But like I would be avoiding sesame like the plague my whole life.
Yeah.
I love sesame.
Right.
So like, and that would be a really hard one to avoid. Before I forget, taking it back to when I failed the pistachio food challenge, which we'll link in the show notes of that TikTok of it.
Oh yeah.
Because it really shows like it is a life-threatening allergy. I failed the food challenge. I didn't need an EpiPen. It was scary, but it was not this like dramatic thing. But the reason I even started telling that story is back to the Benadryl versus Zyrtec. He came in, he was like, this is like a pretty mild reaction. I'm going to keep you here for several hours to watch you, but you do not need an EpiPen. Like he like heart rate, looked at my throat, everything.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm going to give you an antihistamine first and we'll watch you and keep you super close eye, like oxygen, everything. They were monitoring. He hands me this pill. I'm like, what the heck is this? I was like, this isn't Benadryl. And he was like, we don't use Benadryl anymore. And I was like, we as in who? Like me? Because I use Benadryl. And he was like, the allergy community in general, like this clinic.
Yeah.
And he was like, do you prefer Benadryl? Like we can give you Benadryl if you really only feel comfortable.
It's not going to hurt you.
And I think like, obviously he knew me really well at that point where like, I don't take things that I'm not familiar with. I don't eat things that I don't cook. Like I am level 300 of anxiety. He was like, are you only comfortable taking Benadryl? I'm literally having a reaction and we're like negotiating what antihistamine. And I was like, I will do whatever you say. And he was like, okay, then take that one. Zyrtec. That's what we do here. And I was like, okay. So it was like, now I'm like team Zyrtec only. And I use the little like sachets. But actually we had, I think it was Alyssa, don't quote me, on one of our mental health episodes. And she was talking about how like one of her New Year's resolutions or like one of her new things was she like had to stop taking antihistamine as like a safety blanket. Cause like
this is not ringing bells, but that does not mean that it didn't happen. My brain is mush
which
most
guest
days.
it was, or it may have been like an offline conversation I had with one of my like food allergy adult internet besties. I'll text her and see if it was her or I'll figure out who it was. Yeah. But they were basically saying like, as somebody with severe food allergies, I had to get out of the habit because they were not afraid of the EpiPen, but like they were kept thinking like first line of defense equals antihistamine.
Right.
And then it was like, if you are having an allergic reaction, like you take the EpiPen or your body is handling it.
Right.
Like there's no, like Zyrtec isn't your like knight in shining armor.
True.
So they were just explaining like, I had to make the big mindset shift that like, this is to make you comfortable, not like, do I need treatment or do I not?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think I have one more.
Okay.
Then we can
close it out.
And then I want to hear what y'all's myths are, like what things you used to think or that people think around you. But, again, this one kind of hits a little close to home, but, the myth that skin has to be reacting for it to be considered anaphylaxis. So for Graham and his latest reaction, he had a little bit of like redness and swelling, but like no big hives, like full body hives all over him. Like he did not have any of that. And even the ER doctor, believed this myth that, well, if there are no hives present, then it is not anaphylaxis, where you can look to any researcher, like talk to any allergist, and they will tell you that while they are, again, very common to have hives or any kind of skin reaction when having anaphylaxis, it is not required. There could be other systems at play, and it will still be considered anaphylaxis and still require epinephrine.
I like had the biggest eye roll ever. I like saw the back of, I saw like my brain when I was doing that, is like having a doctor in the middle of a medical emergency, like you're going through trauma, being like, well, he didn't have full body hives. We have an episode with Dr. Maya Garfe talking about her work as a board certified allergist, her work into creating something both for providers and for just people in the allergy community, whether you're a caretaker or you have one yourself, to educate on this sort of stuff, because it's just crazy, the misconceptions.
Yep.
And then it puts the parent or the person who's going through the reaction themselves questioning what they've been taught by their own allergist. So, depending on when you're listening to this.
Yeah, that will be a good resource for sure.
Either search Dr. Maya Garfe in our Spotify, or it will be upcoming very soon, depending on when you listen to this.
Yeah, for sure.
But
okay, well we could probably honestly sit here for 2 hours and talk about things that people are confused about or misconceptions that are put out, whether by media or grandmas or whoever. But I do feel like those are some of the top ones. So even if it was just to like commiserate with us here on the couch, I hope you enjoyed this episode.
Yes. And if there's any myths, obviously talk to your doctor, but we want to hear your myths.
For sure.
Cool. Well, we'll see you all next week.
Okay. See you next week.